Hi, everybody. So I have a little extra time today and I wanted to make a video. There's just a lot of things happening this week with the energies, very intense happenings going on in the cosmos. So I thought that I would just do a little reading with Metatron, try to just kind of take our temperature, see what's going on, and have some guidance for us for what's coming up. So I wanted to go through a little bit of the astrology. Today I'm making this video on the 23rd of April. So we're beginning to feel the Mars square Neptune energies that will be contending with the 25th and the 26th. And the moon on the 25th, 26th, well, it depends on where you are. The moon will at the same time be moving into a conjunction with the South Node, Saturn, and Pluto. And Saturn and Pluto are about to move backward. In fact, Pluto will move backward tomorrow and then Saturn on the 30th. So they've both been at those degrees that they're going to move retrograde for quite a while now, more than a few days. And because when they move back, and they don't actually move back, what happens during a retrograde is that the planet comes between the Earth and the Sun, and so it looks like it's moving backward. And this is a time that we redo, revise, renegotiate, reposition ourselves. And so there's nothing to be afraid of. And it's not saying that, it isn't a time to start new projects. That's not at all what it's about. Because really, the South Node has been with Pluto and Saturn for at least 3 weeks now. I should have looked that up before I got on video, but I don't remember exactly. But we've been contending with that retrograde feel for a long time. Just like in your natal chart, if you have a planet that's close to the South Node, that planet isn't like going anywhere. It's sort of spinning its wheels, and there's healing to do there. There's work to do. Attention needs to be brought to that planet. And so we've been feeling, a lot of us, feelings of loss and of change, and great change is what Metatron is saying about the way that we've been feeling. I spoke with a client earlier today who said that she felt like what's happening in our country here, and then just in general, it feels like the earth is shifting beneath her feet, is the way that she put it. And that can be, and obviously this is playing out differently for all of us, but that is the energy. It's a good way to describe the energy and just what's in the ethers right now. And I also wanted to address sending light and love to the people of Sri Lanka. And then there was an earthquake in the Philippines. I believe that was coincided with the sun coming up to be with Uranus. And so now Mercury and Venus have moved past Chiron in Aries. And so we're feeling a little bit better when those planets are off of Chiron. Venus is just 1 degree past, but really once they make that pass, that energy is finished. And Venus and Mercury are in Aries, answering to Mars. Mars, the day after the full moon, the 20th, Mars went out of bounds. And what that means is when a planet goes out of bounds, the sun travels from the equator 23 degrees and some minutes north, and some 23 degrees and some minutes south of the equator. And when planets travel, they travel within the path of the sun, is what we call it, okay? And Mars has gone outside of that path. And it happens a lot, different planets, different times. If you do sessions with me, I go over that with you, because what happens is that the planet isn't getting the full backing of the sun. It sort of plays out as a retrograde energy. It's sort of a renegade energy, is what Metatron is saying. And so until Mars is actually going to be out of bounds. Now he's in Gemini now, so he's in that mutual reception with Mercury, but he's going to be out of bounds until the middle of June. So that's a long time that we're contending with it. Now, Mercury and Taurus will leave. Mercury will enter Taurus, leaving Mars, umbrella in Aries on the 5th and the 6th, depending on where you are on the planet. And Venus will enter Taurus on the 15th of May. So, and Mars will enter Cancer on the 16th. But once we pass the middle of May, it's not a planet. Chiron is not a planet, but Chiron will be the only one answering to that Mars out of bounds. Now, when Mars enters Cancer, the fourth house in the mundane chart relates to climate change events, okay? And so it's important to note that, the North Node is in Cancer, but as Mars goes through Cancer, he will move into oppose both the South Node and Saturn. The South Node and Saturn are going to travel together through September 18th, 17th, 18th, and then Saturn will begin moving forward, and Pluto is going to keep moving backward until October 2nd, 3rd. And so Mars will oppose. I don't know the dates of when those oppositions are coming up, and that's for another video because it's not anytime close to now. I'm just saying that I would be very surprised if during this period of these retrogrades, as these two big boys, these are big boys, and they're both moving backward pretty much at the same time, coming to station and then moving back. And even though we've been feeling the energies with them with the South Node retrograde, I would not be surprised at all if there are a lot of climate change events shifting of the Earth. So, and I'm not getting really anything either way on that right now. And we'll talk about that another time because that wasn't the reason that I wanted to make this video. But what's coming up on the 25th, 26th, and depending on how sensitive you are, you may be picking up on it now. As the moon comes up to South Node, Pluto, Saturn, that could be a lot of heavy emotion. And at the same time, Mars is going to aspect Neptune. He's out of bounds. So it's like the feeling of a Mars retrograde aspecting Neptune. And Mercury, we just got finished with Pisces season. So I feel like we're still, I keep saying to people, is Mercury having a hangover? Because a lot of Mercury stuff that you expect to happen like during retrogrades, I've still been contending with a little bit. And then also I finally got an answer to this stomach flu thing that's been plaguing me since about Valentine's Day. And I kept saying, this only happens when I become intolerant to a food. I have so many now, but yeah, a huge one. I'm not going to go into like the whole thing with food intolerance. This is just sometimes when we have upgrades and our vibration is raised. Not all of us have the DNA or the body, like maybe we haven't taken care of our bodies so well throughout our lives. And so, yeah, I'm just unable to digest lots of stuff now. I'm pretty much down to, now I'm just on water because I got sick again. And when you have a food intolerance and you get sick, it's the same, it's equivalent to food poisoning. Is the way that it is, the attack on the system. So I feel like my stomach lining has been like ripped out, beaten up, kneaded, stretched, and then put back in. So I'm just kind of I'm just a water like right now. That's really all I can handle. But yeah, so I appreciate everybody who had sessions with me and my students, the class that I taught too, had to contend with all of these things. I keep asking him, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you? And he's just like, this is the way that you wanted to do it. And you wanted to be able to eat that until it was like, yeah, you're not eating that anymore. So I got that over the weekend and I really appreciate everyone's patience. I had one person of everybody that I had to move around who did not have any patience, and I was happy to let that person go. So I really appreciate all of you for with your flexibility and just, because I have a lot of guilt when I have to, and I know that I don't need to have guilt, but when I have to, email people and say I can't I can't take care of you today. I feel guilty. And I had one person who had a little tantrum, and I just happily let her go. So anyway, I appreciate everybody's patience with that. So I pulled these cards before I was actually I pulled them between clients because I knew I was going to make this video earlier this morning, but I wasn't sure when. This is Magical Dimensions, and I forget, it's by Light Star. And I love this deck. He showed me right away that this would be the deck that we were working with today. And I've had a lot of people by email and just clients and even myself contending with this energy. The first card that we have is Isolation. So isolation resonates to that of unification with mental powers and emotional insights of the soul. This sacred ray prompts us to awaken hidden memories that spark a matrix of inner soul and universal brotherhood. This supportive ray helps bridge a telepathic reunion to the soul's true home, encouraging a sense of communion with fellowship and love for all of creation. So when we're feeling isolated, which is Neptune, it's not, that's not all Neptune's about, but that's Neptune's territory. And Mars is the self, okay? And as the moon moves up to have a conversation with the Saturn, the South Node, and Pluto, there could be a lot of feelings of isolation that come up for all of us. And it's an illusion that we're ever separated from God or from one another. We're all sparks of the same light, of the energy of pure unconditional love. We're all connected through that intrinsically. There's no way that we can actually be on our own. It's impossible. Everything else is illusion. We're all connected. But this is an encouraging, it says, if you're feeling a sense of loneliness or have been desiring a reconnection with your tribe or soul star family, this is a good time to make intentions to reach out and connect. The truth is, you are never alone. All you need to do is ask to contact home, and your soul star family will show up with open arms. It's time to stop hiding and get involved in community. And so he's been encouraging me, Metatron's been encouraging me lately to point people to Meetup is a good website. If you want to go out and go to a healing group, that's a good way to meet people who are all of the same mind. And, in those healing groups there, usually you go and give a donation. There's a lot of different healers there. If you work as a healer and you haven't had the clientele, you haven't had a lot of clients coming in, that's a good way to, make connections and find new clients there who are waiting for you, who are ready for you. And then just to find our tribe. And I ask a lot of times, like, I need soul family and they show up when I ask that. So, just reminding yourself that you're not alone. Asking the angels for signs too. That just, I don't know what I would do if I didn't have this team around me all the time. I tell them all the time that, it's my saving grace that I'm able to communicate with them all the time. And the truth is that they're just waiting to communicate with you as well. It's just being open to it and allowing it. And when you're seeing it, believe it. When you keep seeing the same numbers, the animals, the colors, just making the connection like, oh, the universe is talking to me. Once we recognize and acknowledge it, it really starts coming then. Okay. So, alrighty. And then the next card is, and we had this one a couple of months ago, I remember, Dreamscape. So all of us have been having, my nights are like, real busy. Because of everything that was happening in Pisces. And now with that, we want to carry forward that inspiration that we had during Pisces season and looking at that aspect of Neptune. Neptune is our dreams. And so when everybody was spending time, or not everybody, but when there were, Venus, Mercury, everybody hanging out in Pisces, we were all getting a lot of that divine inspiration coming in. And I feel like, for me at least, that has continued to be the case. So Pay attention to your dreams as you are receiving profound guidance from them. Your subconscious is trying to bring something important to your attention. It's also a good time to expand your creativity and allow your imagination to roam free. Go deep within the realms of yourself, and you'll be amazed at what clarity you'll discover there. It resonates to the unconscious and hidden desires and dreams. These frequencies bridge pathways from the subconscious into the conscious awareness that assists in bringing life to dreams, both in the waking and sleeping states. As deeply entrenched patterns are surfaced for examination, understood, released, and transmuted, this flowing ray allows for revelations and new ideas to burst forth with a vibrancy and depth. The imagination is unleashed and creativity flows vividly. So I think that I said death because this relates to Pluto and what's happening with Pluto now, because Pluto governs the depths of the subconscious, and with the South Node, it's releasing patterns. It was taught to me, and it's not even a spiritual, it's a scientific fact that 90% of our decisions are governed. Oh, there's my cat. One of my cats, governed by the subconscious mind. And I've had in my own dream time things coming up, things that I didn't feel so good, where they were showing me something in dreams like this, needs to be addressed. Nothing that is even playing out in this physical, but other places was playing out. So you may have those things come up, things come to you that it's time to release and let go. And you can always ask for the angels with help for that. There are plenty of healing practitioners out there who are able to help you release stories that no longer serve you. With the South Node, it's always an energy of releasing. And Pluto, the only way that Pluto is able to make his magic come about and we rise as the phoenix is when we let go. Did you see how he took off after I said rise like a phoenix? It's when we let go of old patterns and programs that we're still hanging on to. It can be painful because a lot of it is that a lot of us are dying completely to the ego self and allowing ourselves to go as forward as the phoenix, but releasing the past. Pluto is a lot about the past and what we're still hanging on to because we somehow see it as being a part of us instead of just being an experience that happened. So, and then waiting for that creative inspiration to come to you. The way that we become more powerful is when we let go and then we come into our power. We face the shadow and we accept it and let go and release it. And then we move into the most powerful aspect of ourselves, our higher selves on the planet, which is exactly who you are. You're just wearing a DNA suit. So this is the sacral portal. So again, creativity coming up. All right, so creative power is intertwined with harmoniously uniting all living beings. Our creative sacral chakra allows us to manifest and create, honor harmonious relationships, and allows us to let go. It requires great trust in order to co-create with all other beings, and the health of this portal can affect how trusting we are toward others and how easily we honor our own creative spirits. Whether your situation involves a relationship, creative project, or a business partnership, how is your expression flowing in these areas? Are you feeling inhibited or restrained, or are you being too overbearing? Be honest. Is your creative spirit locked away, secretly seeking expression? Your creativity and sensuality desire discovery. If you have been holding back, now is the time to step forward and allow your expression to unfold. You are a kaleidoscope of beauty. So this relates to the orange ray, Metatron's ray, and our creativity is inhibited when we're feeling those isolation and sorrow feelings, and it really can. We just make a complete 180 in our attitudes and our vibration when we allow ourselves to create anything. The Bible verse, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. Reflect the Word, it was symbols and sacred geometry. Okay, and that's how we became. That was the first ping of evolution and how we came into being. And when the creativity that I had before we started our classes, Metatron asked me to have the students have a piece of sacred geometry, whatever they chose, with them. Okay. And I know one of my students has recently discovered her love of furniture restoration, which was never even on her, she never even thought of anything like that. And it's really given her so much of a sense of accomplishment, just creating beauty and something that was old and ugly and now is beautifully restored. And any way that you create, cooking a meal, a lot of people are baking, is a good way to get the creative juices, or, to use the creative juices. Anything that you choose to do that sparks joy in you because you're accomplishing something, you're making something. And that's really how we become more powerful, is we start to create. That's how, well, I'm not going to go into all that, but yeah, that's a good way. And it's a good way to come back into your power, because a lot of issues of powerlessness too can be coming up with the South Node, and still digestive issues can be coming up now still as well. I had somebody say to me that they felt like they weren't getting the upgrades and expansions because they didn't get sick at all. You're still getting them, trust me. Everybody, depending on how imbalanced we are, digests, if you will, the upgrades and expansions in different ways. So don't worry about that. We don't want to be putting it out there that we want to be sick in order to have upgrade. Like, you don't want to have that thinking that that you're not getting an upgrade or expansion unless you become ill, because you don't need to become ill. The Creator never does anything that causes us pain or distress in any way. So, but yeah, really feeding into that creativity. That's another good tip for going to the meetups or just meeting with other people of like minds is, as Jupiter has moved retrograde, opportunities for expansion and maybe marketplaces, like places where you could make what it is that you have to share public, could be coming back now. So another good reason to connect with the tribe and remind yourself that you're not all alone in this, that there are people, like-minded people, such as ourselves, that are out there. Okay. We might not be that loud, but we're out there. Okay. And then the next card is exploration. What does that say? Boldness, unknown, limitless. Do not limit your thinking right now. You must be willing to be open to new experiences, as the sky is the limit for you right now. Unexpected situations and new discoveries may occur soon, so be ready. Although the unknown may be scary, it will lead you to greater good. Trust in moving forward. So that's just basically what I was saying about this Jupiter retrograde. When these planets go retrograde, it doesn't mean that you don't move forward or you put things off, because to be honest, once they start moving forward again, then we're just building back up to their conjunction that comes again in 2020, and this time they'll actually be at the same degree in January of 2020. So it's always a good time to be creating something, and that brings you joy and fulfillment, because as you raise your vibration and enjoy doing that, the joy of the Lord is our strength. Our power comes from joy. Okay, that's the solar plexus. So when we're creating and bringing in a sense of joy and accomplishment, raising our vibration, that really raises the vibration of humanity. A lot of us have that martyrdom program still running, that because other people around us are suffering, that it's wrong to experience joy, but it's just the opposite. It helps, it benefits everyone, okay? And really being careful now. He was talking to me, he's reminding me what we've been talking about the past couple of days, what you're ingesting. It is critical right now, whenever you watch me, watch anybody on YouTube, please ask that this is filtered through the frequency of pure unconditional love. And because there's so much nonsense out there right now. And I've spoken about how all this year we have that square of Neptune and Jupiter, and that some of that could be zealots, is the way that I was expressing it. But depending on what else is happening in the sky, that could be religious zealots, or, I didn't want to use the word terrorist, but that is a potential, okay, with these energies. We had a lot of churches in Louisiana that were part of the African American community. Most of the congregants were African American, that were all burned down. Thankfully, the culprit was actually a sheriff's son, and he thankfully came forward and turned in his son. Really, we should be sending them love and support, as well as the congregants, because I'm sure for that family, how awful. You're a law enforcement officer and your own child is doing that, and then to have to turn your son in. But thankfully he did, and so that they've caught him. But I was glad to see that after $1 billion was put into the spire and the inside of Notre Dame, that people came forward to rebuild those churches in Louisiana. So that was good to see. And I'd love it if those billionaires could step up for South Central Africa. And just, I don't want to go into all of it, you guys, because it's so much heavy, and there's a lot of heavy out there. I don't want to contribute, but being careful with what you're taking in from social media, from the news. Like I spoke to someone today who is still, having a hard time with what's happening politically. And I could say that for more country than just the United States. I know the same thing is happening in Brexit, because I have so many friends in England on my newsfeed. Just like like Metatron is saying, that we don't need to all be involved in all of that stuff and the daily of what's going on. Just sticking to, our tribe and and that's not to say that we don't reach out, we don't have compassion, and we let these things go around and stick our head in the sand. But when you're just getting pulled into it and you feel angry, I had to rinse off when I get off Facebook. And I don't go on very often, just because it's not a lot of good news out there. And I'm careful with my news feed, but I follow a lot of news outlets. So, and then just what you're ingesting into your physical body right now. You want to make sure that you're blessing your food. Ask the Creator to, as you bless your food, and we did this work in the class teaching people how to do this, but sending the frequency of pure unconditional love into the food and raising the vibration of the food. If you are a meat eater and you're ingesting things that suffered, their entire lives, you're then consuming that. So just keep in mind to blessing your food, every time that you take a bite or a drink of anything. It's always a good idea, because even if we're eating organic fruits and vegetables, which is what I'm pretty much down to now, who's to say when the crop next to it wasn't sprayed that those chemicals didn't go over it? You can't be too careful, is what he's saying, in blessing the food and whatever it is that you ingest. And then asking just to have that stuff rinsed off of you. If you're, involved in watching the news or getting into things on social media, just wash it off of you. And, so Mars is, out of bounds in Gemini, you guys. That can be like a lot of friction in conversation and thinking, misunderstandings, people overreacting to things that are said. So just keep that in mind for these next, we've got until, he's out of bounds until June 12th, but I didn't even write down when he leaves Gemini, but we're contending with it for a couple of weeks now. So anyway, everybody, I hope this reading helped you. Hang in there, call a friend, and hang out with people that you like. Have a conversation with people that you like. Do kind things for yourself during this week, because we're contending with a lot of heavy energy. And so we don't need to participate in it. We're allowed to do things that raise our vibration, when we're allowed to rise above what's going on, in the illusion that we all live in, and just see it from the higher perspective, and accept that everything is always perfect and working out exactly the way that it's meant to. And if you are having a hard time and feeling a lot of sorrow and grief Always, you can ask the angels, ask Mother Mary, ask Archangel Raphael, ask Metatron, Michael to help you to release those, and they will be there as soon as you ask. They're there to help you. So anyway, you guys take care, and I will talk to you in about a week or so. Alrighty.